Hey, everybody, I am Sherri,
I'm Belle.
and we are with Pop Culture Uncovered, as you can tell, and we are here to do our 2021 Oscar chat. This
Yes.
will be in two parts, because part
Mhm.
one, because we have some issues with some of these nominations.
Yeah. You can
And
say that.
yes, in the next video, which I will tag in the comments or put a card in the top, we will talk about what we who we think will win the major six awards with who they did award, and probably also complain about who didn't make it. So let me, as I always try to put a positive face on everything. So I will say this: for the 2021 film season, because of what happened, because of the pandemic,
Mhm.
um, a lot of films that normally would have crowded Oscar premiere season, which is between September and December, didn't come out.
Yeah.
So there were several smaller films that did get some attention, which such as The Sound of Metal. Um,
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm so happy about that. Yeah.
and I think Minari a little
Yeah.
bit because we were supposed to get the West Side Story, Steven Spielberg's release for this year.
Sorry, excuse me. My eyes rolled back in my head so hard I saw my brain for a second.
I saw that. Um, so, but they also still messed up, and the properties that did come out early in the year were ignored. I have not seen The Invisible Man with Elizabeth. Uh,
Olsen. I mean,
with
sorry. We were just talking about Elizabeth Olsen. I know you said Elizabeth Moss. Yes.
Elizabeth Moss, yes, with Elizabeth Moss. But from the previews and the scenes I did see, she did some amazing work. So I'm really
Mhm.
kind of like bummed that she was
Passed
not
up.
that she hasn't been in the conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, so those are the compliments. Wait a minute, and we also did get two female Oscar nominations, both women of color.
for for director. One, there was a glaring absence that we're going
And
to
this,
talk about.
and here we go. We can, like I said, we're going with the good things. Wait a minute, and the primary acting categories this year could possibly go to all black actors and actresses,
Yeah,
because we're definitely, or someone of color, because the
yeah,
categories are definitely packed with people with color. The backlash from last year's white male rage has definitely
yes,
shown it. I'm going to say in two parts: shown in the nominations, shown in the quality of work, and showing that everybody has actually seen the work.
yes. I think that was one of the blessings
Mhm.
of quarantine is that people saw things that they would never normally have seen. I can't tell you the amount of television series and movies that I have watched in this past year that I wouldn't have had time to watch or I wouldn't have known existed. But because of quarantine and places like Netflix and HBO Max going, okay, you know what? We're going to meet you where you are. And we're going
Mhm.
to put stuff out on a monthly basis that we
Mhm.
would have probably held. But no, we're going to meet you where you are. We're going to put stuff out and go from there. It's actually been, and it's something that we've said on the main podcast, but it's going to change how movies are going to come out.
Mhm.
Because I'm sorry, unless your movie is an event movie, like an It,
Mhm.
like Avengers Endgame, like Zack Snyder's Justice League, unless it's an event movie, it's something where I'm like, I need to visually be able to feel this.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved to have seen Sound of Metal on the big screen because I think that the way they use sound and the absence of it would have physically moved me in like that Dolby surround sound theater. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So but I do think that I'm kind of grateful in that respect that I've gotten to see so many things that I probably wouldn't have seen without having gotten a screener.
I agree. I agree. I definitely agree with that. I also agree. I also appreciate that in some way, shape, or form, all of the nominated films are available for viewing,
Yep.
except for Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah.
But through regular streaming channels, you can find these films. Whether or not I'm going to put out $20 to watch one of them is the question. Um, I have my levels, but I'll talk about it now since I brought it up. The top, and then we're going to get into our complaints. The 6 films, the Best Picture nominees are The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and the Trial of Chicago 7. Of those 8 titles, The Father is only available in theaters. And in quarantine, I'm not going out. That's not a space I feel comfortable being in.
Not gonna happen, baby.
No,
Not
so I won't see it till probably after the award season. And Minari, you can watch on Amazon Prime, but it's that $19.99 price point.
Yeah.
In contrast to Promising Young Woman, which is at $5.99 to rent. $5.99 to rent a movie that I probably wouldn't normally go see. Yes.
Yes.
I can I can mentally do that. I can't do $20 on a film that the only
That's not even getting into Disney's lost their bloody minds $30 fee on stuff that people really should see. I think Raya and the Last Dragon got completely screwed because of that $30 price point. But yeah.
And I will say this as a single Black female living in Washington D.C. If I had children, yes, I could see paying it. You understand what I mean? Like it's me and 2 kids, and we're in the house.
And then you don't have to worry
theater.
You don't have to worry about them getting sick. You don't have to worry about, like, if I had children, I think it would be worth it to me because that's the cost of popcorn.
Right.
And sodas for just 2 kids, not even counting adults.
Exactly.
So I can see that. But for me, I am already paying for this service. Netflix and Hulu and HBO Max are not charging me extra money to get the service, to get their premiere content. Also, they're releasing something new every month. Also, while they're going up by $1 in a year, they're not also charging me an additional $30 on top of going up by $1 in a year.
Yep.
Cutting off your nose to spite your face. Doesn't make sense. So
and Disney step back off of that. So let's start with the chat and the elephant in the room. We're going to go straight to Best Director.
So our director nominees are Another Round, Thomas Vinterberg, Mank, David Fincher, Minari, Lee Isaac Chung, No Man Land, Chloe Zhao, Promising Young Woman, Emerald Fennell. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. 2 of these people shouldn't be on this list. David Fincher should not have been nominated for Mank. Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round. But honestly, it should have been our girl,
Regina King.
Regina King should have been nominated for Best Director. And the director for The Sound of Metal should have been nominated for Best Director.
I have not seen Sound of Metal yet.
Oh my God, it's absolutely amazing.
Definitely agree that this list reads like, oh, there's 2 women on the list. We can't have a third. And Regina King had been on every precursor coming in to.
She's won every bloody thing. It's been her, Chloe, winning everything pretty much since award season started a billion years ago.
Yes, it's been. Oh, good.
Very hard.
How long this year is.
Yeah, Darius Marder. That's the name of the director for Sound of Metal. Yeah, yeah, should have been nominated.
Yeah.
It's just.
And also, we just mentioned Best Picture nominations. I'm really annoyed that One Night in Miami has gotten shafted. That film.
It's so good on
Yes.
so many levels for so many, because it doesn't feel like a documentary. It feels like you said in your review,
Mhm.
it feels like you are a fly
Mhm.
on the wall
Yes.
of an actual intimate, which it is. It's an intimate moment, but it doesn't feel staged. It doesn't feel forced. It
Nope.
just feels like you are seeing something that you probably shouldn't even be seeing,
Hmm.
but you're there. And so you're just observing.
Yes.
I don't get it.
Yes, I don't get that either, because those four characters just, which take up 90% of the film, 75% of the film, um, really fill out the screen, fill out the story. If you did not even know who these four men were at all, you knew exactly who they were at the end of those 2 hours.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, first of all, the original play was written so well.
Hmm.
And I love that they didn't try to turn it into some, because I've seen play adaptations that don't work.
Hmm.
Regina King has an understanding of how to take one thing from one medium and move it to another medium. And for this is her first time directing a film. Now, people forget that she directed television before.
Hmm.
She's directed television before. But this, it's a different animal. It's the same way soap operas are filmed differently than sitcoms are filmed differently than, procedurals. That there's different layers in directing television, film for television, and then you go to film for, and there's a whole other ball of wax. So the fact that this was her first time out the gate
Hmm.
and she turned in that, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Kidding me?
So Academy, y'all need to correct that. Um, my besides that stink and that mess up in the directing category, my other big issue with the nominations this year is, and I'm going to blame the production company or whoever is responsible for the Oscar campaigning, is that for a Best Actor in a Supporting Role, the nominees are Sacha Baron Cohen for The Trial of the Chicago Seven, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, Paul Raci for Sound of Metal, and Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah.
I love Daniel Kaluuya, even as we joke that discernment is not his gift in all the roles that he takes.
No.
Um, but it's okay. We still love you.
Yes.
But he pulls in a killer performance every time he is on screen.
Yeah.
Lakeith Stanfield's performance in Judas and the Black Messiah, masterful, beautiful job.
Yeah.
However, how are they both supporting actors? Who is the lead actor in this film?
Lakeith Stanfield.
Exactly, because this is Lakeith Stanfield's story about his time with Fred Hampton, Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah.
Lakeith, Lakeith's nomination should have been in Best Actor. And the nomination that we are not getting because of this mess up is Delroy. At one part one is Delroy Lindo for The Five Bloods,
That part.
who pulled in an amazing job in that film.
I am so that Delroy Lindo didn't get nominated for The Five Bloods is a crime. And that Lakeith Stanfield should have been nominated for Best Actor. I even if he didn't win, he should have been nominated.
Mm-hmm.
I get why they didn't do it because, as we have discussed, this is
Yeah.
this is going to be Chadwick's year.
And I want to put this out. I've said it. I wrote this in an article somewhere. for PCU that this was going to be Chadwick's year, regardless of his passing.
Yep.
His performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is amazing. It's just amazing. He was pulling tears just and it just hits his whole space on that, the way he took up all the space in telling that part of the story.
Against Viola Davis, who was not exactly phoning it in.
No, she was not.
Yeah.
But Viola killed that part.
Yeah.
So I think that the calculation that this team made was our best shot at getting Lakeith nominated was as best supporting actor. But this means that there was no lead actor in that movie.
And for me, you are, I want to say there was a year. What was the year? It was the year that Al Pacino won for Scent of a Woman, when he absolutely should not have won for Scent of a Woman. And that was the same year that Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for Chapman. And Denzel Washington was nominated for Malcolm X. And to this day, that felt like people were so divided about which one of them to give it to that they just gave it to Al because he hadn't gotten his, and those two were young enough at the time that they were like, well, eventually they'll get theirs, not knowing what the future was going to hold. So that being the case, they basically just went, oh, we'll just give it to Al Pacino because, well, he turned in a performance.
Yeah.
And this feels like that. It's like you are splitting the vote.
Mm-hmm.
You're splitting the vote, and neither one of them is going to get it. I would be shocked. If either one of them get it. I know Daniel's been winning everything. I will be genuinely shocked if either one of them get it and it doesn't go to Sacha Baron Cohen or Leslie Odom Jr.
I will say that I agree. And we're going, again, in our next video, we will definitely go through our who we think is going to win, our predictions. But yeah, I just don't like that, the way that is playing out at all. And I also, wait a minute, I have a thought, because we're talking about the Mank nominations as well.
You called it when you said in your article, PCU main site popcultureuncovered.com, when you said in your article about the nominations in the beginning of the award season that Mank was going to get nominated for a bunch of things that it shouldn't get nominated for because Hollywood loves a story about themselves. And I knew you were right. I knew you were right. And I still naively held on to hope. But I knew you were right. Because Mank, it's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. It's a good movie. It does not deserve to be. It's like when we were talking about how Jared Leto got nominated out of nowhere for The Little Things, and we were like, but how?
That wasn't even a good performance it wasn't even qualified as a good performance in a bad movie, which we have one of those to talk about shortly too.
I was like, how was he nominated? Well, Allie and I go into that on Drunk Review because we were both like, what is happening? Like, that entire review is us going, I don't understand.
I don't understand that. That's one I don't understand at all. Because we miss, wait a minute, because that goes back to the Golden Globes, and we can all talk about May I Destroy You versus Emily in Paris, but we're not going to do that because we're talking about the Oscars today.
And I don't need to be, I haven't drank enough.
We're not that triggered.
Mad that I would be for that. So
Yeah,
But
we're still annoyed. We're still annoyed.
still annoyed. Hell,
So
the cast of Emily in Paris was annoyed. Which is something.
yeah, that show was not good. Now the other one that we're going to throw out as a nomination, because we always get these nominations of great performances in bad films.
Mm-hmm.
This year's winner of that award is Glenn Close in Best Supporting Actress for Hillbilly Elegy.
Yes, because that movie's terrible. That movie is. I'm sorry. I know there's people out there who like it. I don't know anyone who is one of those people.
And I think this is the only nomination that film got.
I will check, but I'm like, how? This is another one where I'm like, how? I have questions.
The problem is in that the length and breadth of Glenn Close's career, she gives you work. There's a Twitter thread going on right about now that says that actor always understood the assignment. Glenn Close understands the assignment.
Yep.
And you're not going to tell me she doesn't every time she shows up. And every time she is nominated, there is somebody that the Academy chooses, or there is another performance that's just that much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time.
I still don't think Gaga should have won over her a couple of years back.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm still mad about that. She should not have, Gaga should not have won. I'm sorry.
That year, I think Elizabeth, is her name? Olivia Colman won the Best Actress for her over The Wife, which was another great performance and not a great film. Actually, wait a minute. Yes, The Wife is not a great film. Hillbilly Elegy is a bad film.
It's a terrible movie.
No. But they are so trying to get her Oscar that she deserves, really, for Fatal Attraction.
She deserved the Oscar for Fatal Attraction. She deserved the Oscar for Dangerous Liaisons. She deserved the Oscar for so many things before this.
This is Editing Sherri, and I just wanted to make a note. In 1988, Glenn Close was nominated for Fatal Attraction and lost the award to Cher for Moonstruck. She was nominated in 1989 for Best Actress for Dangerous Liaisons and lost to Jodie Foster in The Accused.
And I think she is working on now. She's supposed to be working on now the Sunset Boulevard musical,
which is actually perfect casting.
Yeah. So it is, as much as I love Glenn Close, and God knows I do.
Yeah.
I want this to bypass her, just as part of her count.
Yeah.
And come back to me next year, or whenever Sunset Boulevard comes out.
Turn it into Susan Lucci.
Yeah, she is. And the thing is, because you also mentioned Robert Downey Jr., who also understands the assignment every time he shows up, whether or not you like the film. And he is also, since Chaplin, he still hasn't won an Oscar.
No.
And that is a stellar actor.
And he should, in all honesty, he should have won an Oscar. Well, let me say this. Iron Man 2, he should have been nominated, because if that wasn't a wonderful, understated performance of what PTSD is to deal with in the aftermath in a superhero movie. But that whole movie is this man losing his damn mind. Am I thinking of Iron Man? I'm thinking of Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3. Losing his man is Iron Man 3, because Iron Man 2 was the palladium poisoning. So Iron Man 3 is him losing his mind because he's seen and no one's listening. No one's listening to him while he's trying to tell them that as bad as it was, something worse is coming. And he shows up. Is Doolittle a great movie? No, it is not. Is he fantastic in it? Yes, he is. He's fantastic in everything.
And wait a minute. I even wrote that, PCU.com, scrolling across the screen. I did an article this winter over snowstorm saying I'm going to watch all of these bad movies to see are they really that bad. If you are expecting Avengers Robert Downey Jr. to show up for
No.
Doolittle, no, that's not what you're getting.
No.
If you're looking for a good kids movie and
Yes.
him reacting to all of these animals talking to him,
Yes.
yeah, Doolittle is actually pretty good. It's a kids film.
Yeah.
And it's like people are expecting it and rating it as something else.
Yeah.
But I like the only issue I had with Doolittle was that accent he put on. I think they could have wrote into the story that he was an American and won favor with the queen somehow and just lives on this plot of land. I think they could have worked that into the story and just let the accent alone.
I feel like they were trying too much to differentiate it from the original two versions. The ones with Jerry Lewis, and then the, to me, much more iconic, in all honesty, version with Eddie Murphy. Because we were just rewatching that the other day, and I was like, God, this movie is just so good. It's so good. So that, and I think they were trying to be closer to the original source material, because people do not realize that Doolittle is based off of the books by James Herriot, who was a veterinarian who was so in tune with the animals that he took care of, that people say he talked to animals. And so that's who the character is based on. So, who, I think he was a Scottish vet, and so they were trying so hard to kind of differentiate it from the first two, and also
honor the source material.
You didn't have to do either of those things. Just let Robert Downey Jr. be Robert Downey Jr. And you know what? Had a better movie.
And the crazy part is, now that you've told me that, because I don't know the sources on that one, but I like it. That makes me like this film better now.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't hate it. Like, there are 3 films on that list. One of them was a complete waste of my time and almost ended my relationship. Because he made me watch it. The other one, you're really looking at the screen going, they wasted a lot of money putting this together. And in this one, I'm like, no, I'm actually having a good time.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
So, are there any other glaring nominations that really are annoying
out to me? I am genuinely... Olivia Colman should have been nominated for Best Actress in The Father, because it's just her and Anthony Hopkins for most of that movie. There is 5 people in the film.
Okay.
No, I'm lying. It's 6 people in the film. It's 3 women and 3 men. But when I tell you that watching that, especially after having, it was hard to watch that movie. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not, because it's only in theaters. I do want to see it. I know what the subject matter is. And I feel that it's going to hit very close to home.
Yes. If you've ever
y'all
been
in the internet lands will understand what I'm saying. That's going to hit very close to home.
Yeah.
So I think I'm afraid to watch it as well.
Yeah. I was honestly surprised. My husband, who did the review, had recently lost his mom in the last year. Like right before the world ended. So I'm kind of glad that it happened before that. So when I tell you that for us specifically, it hit real hard. And for me, having been a caregiver for somebody for 2 people, one for cancer and one for an ongoing illness, Olivia Colman nails it. She nails the frustration. She nails the love. She nails the fear when you're scared to do anything because you don't know what's going to happen. You're scared to do anything. You're scared to go to the store. Because what if they wander off? Or what if they fall? Or what if they need something and you're not there? And that's one of those things I don't think people who've never been caregivers get. There's a level of fear that you live with all the time, because you don't know what's going to happen. There's things that you need to do so that life can move on, but you don't know what's going to happen if you walk out the door for 15 minutes. And when I tell you, she gets that so wonderfully. So she's nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad she got nominated, full stop. But I kind of feel like she should have gotten the Best Actress nom, because literally the story focuses on the two of them. So other than that, I will say this year has been wildly much more diverse than it's been in many years, and not just with Black people, because I'm like, I love how Hollywood thinks diversity means, oh, we'll nominate Black people. And I'm like, it's as if Native Americans, First Nations, Hispanic, and Middle Eastern, Southeast Asian, Asian people don't freaking exist.
Exactly. So while we are doing this, we want to shout out Best Supporting Actress nomination for Young Jung Yoon. Please forgive me if I pronounced that wrong. For as the grandmother in Minari.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Like I said, hopefully soon they will come down off that $20 price point, and I'll be more than happy to spend that money. Also, Stephen Yoon, also for Minari.
Yes. Which makes him, my brain, when I tell you my mind was blown when I found out that he was the first Asian man to be nominated for Best Actor. And I was like,
Yes.
How in the world is that a thing that has happened in this year? In the year of our Lord 2021, why is this the first time that this happens?
Exactly. I agree.
Is that the first Southeast Asian man?
I believe so.
Are you kidding me right now?
I believe so. I mean,
that's the one area where they got all the nominees right, though. I will say, hands down, actor in the leading role, I'm like, yep, all of these track. Every single one of these track. Gary Oldman is phenomenal in May. I think there are other performances. I still think that, because One Night in Miami is such an ensemble piece, I don't know if there's a quote-unquote lead actor in that film.
There is not. And that, wait a minute. Exactly. Going back to our point earlier about Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah.
This is Lakeith Stanfield's story of his time with Fred Hampton. So in reality, Lakeith Stanfield is the lead actor. Daniel Kaluuya is supporting. In One Night in Miami, that is 4 supporting actors, because they are all telling this story together.
Right.
And that is also, granted, you're not going to nominate all 4 of them in a category where there are 5 nominations. However,
but you could, because they were all amazing.
Because all 4 of them are phenomenal. And Leslie, I think, is going to win his Oscar for the song.
I can see that.
He's going to win the Oscar for the song. He may not take, because of the wave behind Daniel Kaluuya at this point, who has won all of the precursors, so has been winning the precursors to this point. More likely than not, it will be him, and I'm fine with that. I like Daniel; he's cool. But I think Leslie Odom Jr. as Samuel Cook was, chef's kiss. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So definitely One Night in Miami. I happen to love that film. I did love that film. This was definitely a good year for Black films.
It's so good. And I will say the Best Actress nominations are pretty much, I am not mad at the Best Actress nominations. They are, the only one I have a problem with is Frances McDormand, because it's Frances McDormand being
Frances McDormand. And I'm going to say that, okay, in our next video, we're definitely going to get into who we think is going to win, who we want to win. But I will also say that is Frances McDormand bringing a fictional character to a documentary, which is my problem with Nomadland. It's beautiful. It is gorgeously shot. It is stunning to watch. I don't know why this is all of a sudden in my feed and why all of a sudden I care, but I do watch a lot of van life videos on YouTube, and I feel that this is a different side of van life and nomad life than what we see on YouTube, but I feel I get a better sense of it But again, I've said this before. Nomadland is a beautiful fictionalized documentary.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. And
it's a beautiful version of the Blair Witch Project.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
Now, and I'm not, that is no shade. Because I know that sounds like I'm throwing shade. I'm not. The Blair Witch Project, people thought it for real, really thought it was a documentary, and I'm like, no, it's a movie. But the way it was shot comes across as a documentary. No Man Land is like if the Blair Witch Project people had way more money and a better story.
It would look exactly like this. Exactly.
Yep. Yep.
So we will be back. Check us in part 2, where if you want to hear what we think is going to win, actually, we're going to do what we think wants to win, what we want to win, and who will probably win.
Yes.
So thank you. You can visit us at popcultureuncovered.com for all of our reviews and all that good stuff. And see you soon.
You can follow us at, on PC Uncovered on Twitter and Instagram, and Pop Culture Uncovered on Tumblr, Facebook, and popcultureuncovered.com.
Yes. Bye. One moment. Hitting the stop.